Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, actually add some fucking value into what you can do with all of this information out here, as opposed to just saying, hey, the building's on fire and walking away. I have been in this industry my entire life. I love this industry, and I'm going to do everything to ensure that this industry is a better place when I'm out of it, or whenever my time is done in trucking. I had that, and it's one of the many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me. Not only are we the greatest nation on earth, but I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you live out your American dream as well. I got a very special guest for you guys today. Before I bring him on, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub, you guys, vhubapp.com. Doesn't matter if you're a broker, carrier, or shipper alike, we all need access to trailers at some point in time. And then especially if you're a one truck fleet or a 10 truck fleet, you should never have to shut your operation down because one of your trailers is in the shop. And the best part about this, you get paid to move these trailers for them. So with that being said, what they're working on right now, Glade Spring, Virginia, going out to Orting, Washington, which is just outside of Tacoma. You get paid $15.50 to do that. And that is on top of the freight of the revenue that you can get by loading out that trailer. They also have, if you have Canadian authority, you can go from Glade Spring going up to Delta, British Columbia, just outside of Vancouver. You get $18.50 US to do that. They also have West Valley City, Utah, going up to Calgary, Alberta. You get $15.50 to do that. And then also they have Ron Burgundy's hometown of San Diego, California, going out to Houston, Texas. You get $800 to do that. And again, you guys, that's on top of the revenue that you get by loading that trailer out. It's a great way to help offset the fuel costs and everything else that's going on in the world right now. So hit them up, vhubapp.com. My friend Stacy Steen's already in the audience. You guys hit her up. Just let her know that the Freight Coach sent you guys. Helps keep this neon light on behind. Dennis, what's going on? Dennis Bear Everett. He's my friend out of South Dakota, a reefer carrier. If you guys have any reefer freight out of South Dakota, hit up Dennis. Good morning to you. April Maroney. Love this industry. Good fucking morning. Let's fucking go. This is a show of acronyms. Zach Williams, what's up, brother? Happy Friday to you. Zach's with SPI Logistics, you guys. If you guys want to become an independent freight agent and take control of your financial future, hit up my boy, Zach. All right, you guys, I'm going to bring my guest on right now. He's my good friend. He's been on a bunch of times. Mr. Mark Groves with Port TMS is back. What's going on, Mark?
Hey, guys. How's it going? Thanks for having me on. Great timing. Shit's going crazy out there. So I'm more than happy to break it down for you. This past week has been pretty amazing. Things have been going on in the industry. But, I can't wait to break it down with you.
Yeah, man, it's like you just can't keep up at this point about like all the stuff that's going on in the industry. It's one thing after another. I know there was some breaking news, I guess, overnight, you could say, that the Senate stepped in and helped with the whatchamacallit to avert the rail strike last night. And, which, again, I'm never a fan of government intervention on a lot of things, but when it comes to this and how critical it is to keep our country open, I think that they did the right thing in this instance.
Well, that's interesting. But as I was telling somebody last night, listen, they can't go drag those people out of their beds and take them in and make them work. If they really want to fuck with the situation, they'll just do like the airline pilots do and everybody call in sick. So I hope whatever they put together for them, it makes them really happy, because that would be a real gut punch if those guys didn't come into work for a couple of days.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. That could still very much happen, especially if you're one of those people that, you don't agree with it. You're like, fuck you. You haven't represented us like you said you were going to. And, that doesn't stop anything from happening. Like, yes, on paper, it's been averted, but that doesn't say that they can't band up behind the scenes and say, fucking get out of here.
Yeah, we're going to take a couple of days off sick, because even what they put together for them, it doesn't do anything about the cost of people that work for the rail lines, gas they're putting in their car, the groceries that they're getting at the store. You know what I mean? That's all up. And they haven't accounted for that increase in inflation that it's hitting everybody in the pocket. And these guys just actually have, a bigger hammer to swing than most people to say, no, we need to get this back to even. Because all the gains that they made in their previous contract have been stripped away by inflation.
Yeah. And that's because like the big sticking point, it seemed like with this was the 7 paid sick days to all rail workers. The House approved it, but the Senate did not. And I know that was a big sticking point because, again, it's like you never know. You never know what's going to happen on that. So on paper right now, it looks like, according to this, that it has been it ends the threat of a rail strike. But you just never know with a lot of this shit at the end of the day. You have no idea if they're going to, because like there's 4 of the 12 unions that haven't agreed to it like previously to this. So again, you never know.
Right.
You never fucking know. It's just interesting to see the people who are out there who are always pro-union on some of their stuff, who are in office, who are now, I don't know. I just think it's ironic that that's what it gets to.
There's nothing that's not ironic about what happens in Washington these days.
That's a fact. That's a fact. All right. We got Robert Peterson. He says, what's up, Stacy? Louis Montano, what's up? Rolling Dice Logistics is out here. Good morning to you. Dennis needs freight out of Noonan, Georgia today, headed to South Dakota. So if anybody's watching this or hearing this, hit up Dennis Bear Everett. He's got a reefer. He's out in Georgia, it looks like, and he wants to head towards South Dakota. Let me see here. Louis says, nothing the government gets in business is good, in my opinion. They'll control it later on. I don't disagree with you on that. Robert says, funny part is the rail lines still have it out and could still strike. I think it's called the Me Too article. And then it's he read that article over this morning, Robert. Yeah, I mean, it's still a very much a possibility that could happen out there. So Mark, you're being with Port TMS, you guys have a solid pulse on the market. You guys see a shitload of data coming through on what's going on. What have you guys seen out there from your perspective? Because one of the articles we're going to get into is about how the spot rates have sagged out there, but like, what are you guys seeing from your perspective?
Well, obviously there is a major slowdown. And I think it's interesting that we get to see is we can drill down into the types of manufacturers and shippers that are still pushing things out the door. And there is still a lot of freight moving. Things have started to pick back up. It was I think you and I had talked about it previously, every couple of years, the end of October, November, there's an untraditional slowdown. And it just reared its head up. I haven't seen everything like really take back off again, but there are these sectors that are still strong. They're still moving. Shippers still need capacity, and freight's still moving. So, I think some of the stuff that you hear and see about, companies adjusting to the fact that it's not as robust as it was 12 or 24 months ago is because of the overextension and just going out and, being super aggressive, either getting trucks and trailers and employees for that unprecedented time. And now it's and not only is it leveled back off to a traditional low flow of freight throughout the country, it's a little bit lower than it has been in the past. But I mean, everybody's still really high. You know what I mean? People are still like, yeah, we get through this bump and things are going to take off again in the first quarter and we'll be kicking ass again.
No, for sure. And we're gonna tie into everything Mark's saying here with this article, and we're gonna talk about a lot of this here because this one's from Ari Ash, my friends over at the JOC. U.S. truckload spot rates sag in November in an atypical move, and they paid less on the drive-in in November than in either September and October, showing the holiday season has failed to boost truck demand. In a typical year, rates charged on a one-off basis increased between September and December. Through November 29, rates fell month over month in 39 states and rose in only 5, according to JOC Truckload Spot Rate Index, which is comprised of analyzing prices from Cargo Chief, DAT, and digital broker LoadSmart. that's out there. And John Payne, who is a director of pricing out there, said with LoadSmart, said that normal escalation of rates between September and December isn't going to happen. The excess capacity is going to absorb typical peak season disruptions. Rates out of LA, for example, fell 8 cents per mile last month through November 29th, and with October, and have declined sequentially in 9 out of the last 10 months. And they're also saying that my tender acceptance is in line with the high 90s, like 97 or 98% of loads. A shipper said who did not want to be identified, which I don't blame them, because then they're just going to get lambasted with requests. Very few of our loads are ever reaching the spot market because our top carrier in our routing guides is almost always saying yes. And several shippers have said they're also leery of using the spot market because they wish to maintain strong relationships with their trucking partners rather than be seen as transactional when the market flips in favor. So again, it's like, Mark,
it's an interesting take, it really is, because as you know, there's other people out there that have just as much data available to them as those three groups that say that no, actually the shippers and the manufacturers are looking towards the spot market now more than ever.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that, and I'd love to have him source these shippers and manufacturers that he spoke to that saying they're sticking with higher contracted rates, right? Because that's basically what he's saying.
Yeah.
Does the board of directors and the shareholders of these business know that the people operating the business are spending more money than they could than they would in the spot market? It's a really interesting dynamic. I think it's fun to talk about. That's for sure.
It is fun to talk about because, again, you just never know because, like, again, it's like everything's so subjective. It's not like there's a set rate per mile. There's none of that stuff out there. So like, these guys could be well below what most contracted rates are, but they're above the spot market. And it's just not, the risk isn't worth the reward. This could be it might have come to a point with some shippers out there where they're like, hey, listen, we understand that we're paying more, but on our contracts. But with that being said, our service is at 99% right now. We have 99% on time percentage. Our tender acceptance is at 99%. It is worth that. But just because, like, I think these last couple of years, it truly exposed how volatile and how little some people give a shit about your freight. Right. And they're like, hey, we've got people out there who, through extremely turbulent times, serviced no matter what. They showed up. We're rewarding them. We understand what it might look like on our balance sheet, but that doesn't matter to us because our freight's showing up. Our customers are happy, and that's all that matters to us now.
Well, that's one way to look at it. That's for sure. And of course, us being from the industry, we hope everybody would take that approach. But I feel like because of the way that the market went and negatively impacted the price of the shippers and the manufacturers, some of the people in those organizations are saying, okay, if there's an opportunity for us to claw back some of that by doing business a little bit differently, then they'll do that. And how the real factor for me seeing this as more shippers and manufacturers reach out to us as a software provider saying, hey, what can we do with your software to lower the cost of our transportation? Is it get our own contracts? Is it put our own loads into a carrier portal of our own and do the bid back and forth internally from our system? So it's an interesting dynamic. I think it is going to shift a little bit, but it all depends on the economy, what happens in DC, what happens globally, and it seems like it's shifting every 3 months.
Yeah, and that's how this article finishes out. Is it's talking about, despite positive economic indications from the National Retail Federation, the group reported Tuesday that a record 196.7 million Americans shopped in stores and online between Thanksgiving and Cyber Monday, up 17 million from 2021, and that included a 17% year-over-year jump in visiting brick and mortar stores. Nevertheless, several shippers are skeptic about whether Americans will still have the disposable cash to spend on buying new homes or paying for larger renovations, which would bolster truck demand because interest rates have risen. And that is no surprise to anybody out there who wanted to buy a home. Fortunately, I closed on my home right at I will call it the perfect time. Because I'll just say it, like the interest rate I was able to close on was at like 5.1%, which is still, it's still low comparatively speaking to like where it is right now. Yes, it's above where it's at. But again, like I'm looking at it from my perspective on my home is like, I don't plan on leaving Arizona. So I'll refinance in 3 years when it dips back down again, because again, everything's a cycle. All of this is cyclical. And like to kind of tie that all together, Mark, you've been in the industry for what, 30 years?
Not quite, but almost. I think I was thinking about the other day. I think I'm going on like 17 years of really, being in it. Pay my kids' school payments, my mortgage payment, my car payment. Probably about 17 years, right?
But with that being said, though, you've owned a freight agency in your past. You've been in that. How many times have you seen this exact scenario that we're in right now?
God, maybe, 2008, obviously. Nothing like this. Nothing actually like this, just because of the way the interest rates are, the way that money was super available. There was just tons of cash flowing around. Everybody's drawing back on that. So that dynamic of the amount of cash in the marketplace being available 18 months ago to where it is right now, I've never seen that shift before, quite frankly. And that cash would usually translate into either acquisitions, purchases, expansion. And with that drawing back so fast, that's probably the one biggest factor, the biggest thing that I've never seen before. I've seen freight dip, I've seen the economy go down, but the combination of these record high inflation, I've never seen inflation like this in my lifetime.
Yeah.
That inflation, people pulling back with their cash, putting it on the sidelines, parking it, I've never seen it before. But I've also never seen our industry so resilient before, because everybody has really been able to look at all the opportunities that are available in our industry from a company-wide perspective and pivot pretty quickly to take advantage of a different avenue to generate revenue when they're servicing the supply chain. And whether that's changing over to final mile, package delivery, there's just so many more opportunities out there than there were before when we've had big market shifts like this.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, because I think like the last one that I saw, it like they're like hot shot and like sprinter vans weren't even like really a thing.
100%.
So it's like there is other avenues out there. And again, it's like before Mark and I got on this morning, like we were talking about, no matter what, someone's going to make money in this market.
Right.
Someone is going to find out a way. And if you really want to make it, if you're all about trucking or brokerage or whatever position you're in this industry, there will be an opportunity, because I will always, although I do not advocate for this at all, I want everybody to stay in business, but there will always be a percentage of people who quit. All right. Because it gets challenging. It's not easy. They're going to walk away from it. That there's an opportunity no matter what in any market. Yes, it's going to be harder to add shippers, or to some over the last couple of years, comparatively speaking. But to guys like me who've been in this industry for 15 years, it's back to normal. It takes a lot of fucking work to earn somebody's business. And that's why you have to work so hard to keep it and earn it one truckload at a time. It's because you can't just rinse and repeat with shippers. You can't do it at all. You have to earn their business.
Well, and one thing that I've discovered here recently is the shipper is changing quite a bit in the country, where it was the pipe manufacturer or the brick manufacturer or the Leggett and Platts of the world that are making these different products that need to ship in a truckload. Well, now we're seeing these large e-commerce companies come on that they're not just doing small pack. Now they're starting to do LTL, right? And now they're starting to take their suppliers and manage their freight, full truckloads of their freight into their warehouses, where they're selling them on the e-commerce, and either they're shipping them out by a pallet, they're shipping out 6 pallets, a volume shipment a hot shot truck, right, can handle that type of stuff, and the small pack. So those opportunities are coming into the marketplace at a really good clip. And so I think that if our constituents, people that like to listen to you, people that have been in the industry, that are diehards, understand that, hey, there's some new opportunities out there, and to know where to go look for them. You can service in the same way that you've been servicing your traditional shippers and manufacturers throughout the industry.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it, you guys. There's an opportunity out there. Rest assured, there's going to be one. That article, you guys, obviously was from the JOC, U.S. Truckload Spot Rates seg in November. In an atypical move. As always, you guys have put the links to every article we break down over on the Freight Coach YouTube channel, as well as the copy with the Freight Coach audio only version of this, which will be uploaded a little bit later on today. If you guys do go over to those other platforms, do your boys solid. Subscribe, share it out there, rank the show. It all helps everything. Cody Miller, good fucking morning, freight enthusiast, he says out there. And Robert Peterson says, no, we are freight pimps. All right. I think we're only going to get to one more article here today, and that's fine. But I want to talk about this one because it was from FreightWaves, and it is the Senate proposes $755 million for truck parking. Companion to House measure sponsored with bipartisan support. Senate lawmakers introduced legislation on Thursday that would set aside $755 million in competitive grants over 4 years to expand much-needed truck parking across the industry. The bipartisan Truck Parking Safety Improvement Act, co-sponsored by Senators Cynthia Loomis from Wyoming and Mark Kelly from Arizona. That's a shock that he actually did that. Will serve as a companion legislation to House version introduced last year and approved. Like the House bill, which currently has bipartisan support, it allows for public and private projects that create new parking areas or expanding existing facilities that are out there. Unlike the House bill, however, the Senate bill would allow for truck parking expansion at commercial truck stops and travel plazas. It goes on to say that there is only one parking spot for every 11 trucks on the road out there. What are your thoughts on this?
Man, I'll tell you what, I think it's great that they did it in grants because people know how to write grants, and if the money's available, you can be awarded those grants. And I really hope that like the Flying J's and the pilots of the world and the other large truck facilities take advantage of that and say, okay, we're going to expand. You know what I mean? We're going to build 100 more trucking spots in our existing facilities, and let them take that money and let them do what innovative entrepreneurs in this country do, is put it to good use, do it quick, do it fast, and do it right. And then I think the other part of it, which would probably take much longer, is to expand the existing rest areas on the highways. I think those are two really great areas, and the way stations too. I mean, how many times do you drive past a way station and there'll be a couple trucks there, and there could be a couple more if it was just a little bit bigger. I think if they could focus in on the private sector that already have existing resources in the space, to let them expand, and then find somebody really, really good to put in charge of the government facilities, the way stations, and the public rest areas, to say quickly, just get in there and start blowing them out. I think it could be great, quite frankly. I mean, I think everybody would benefit from it, not only from a truck parking standpoint, but even the recreational traveler. I think it could be really good. I think it's fantastic. I think it's probably the best thing that they've done up there in a long time. See if they can push it through and put the money in a fund for people to start writing those grants and doing those expansions.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you on that. I love that it's through grants. I think that's a big point of this, you guys, is it's not, because they can't say that they lost $2.1 trillion or anything like that with grant money. But anyways, I think though that this though, you're right, man. Cause like, I know how many trucks or like how many rest areas that are out there that haven't been updated, or we can expand them out and get more parking spots in there for our drivers. Because again, that is a big sticking point. If you actually talk to the drivers out there, safe and secure truck parking is like the top 3 concerns of theirs. Right. So again, like we need to see this. I'd like to see more money, because $755 million is, I don't know, probably 3 parking lots worth of fucking labor and everything in today's day and age with inflation. Nonetheless, but I like seeing that it is an actual point that they're a point of emphasis out there. I got to give credit where credit is due. It's good to see that the guy from Arizona is doing something about this, and it is being done, because there's rest areas in the state of Arizona that like have pretty much never been reopened at that point. So again, we need to see that. We need to see more spots developed out there in more locations. And, you know, yes, let's get the traditional truck stops who are already in place. And I think that's key. Is it's like, we don't have to build a brand new standalone facility. Let's improve the ones and expand the ones that are currently in place, that have the additional space that we can do to add those additional parking spots out there. Because again, not one of us would sleep somewhere where we don't feel safe and secure. So why are we asking our drivers to do that? So it's good to see that that is being done out
well,
there.
And I hope that they didn't, since we're on your show, I can say this, I hope they didn't fuck it up and put a clause in there saying that they have to put charging stations for semis in any of these facilities that they expand.
Exactly. So 10 truck slots are reserved for battery for charging stations of trucks that don't even fucking exist yet.
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
That's exactly what who knows about that. But hey, we're only going to break down 2 articles today because Mark and I both got a busy day ahead of us here. So we're going to wrap it all up here. You guys, that article was out from Freight Waves, and it's Senate proposes $755 million for truck parking, which is always good to see money being earmarked for our industry as a whole. So Mark, how does anybody reach out and find out more about you or Port TMS?
Well, you know, I'm on LinkedIn, so you can find me on LinkedIn, message me, go to the website, porttms.com. We've rolled out some really kick-ass new deployments recently. We've got the Port Messenger, which is like a Slack channel between the customer portal and the broker portal. So you can communicate real time with your customers. They put full truckloads for you to work on your board. And we released a really cool document accelerator where the driver, no additional cost, can upload the proof of delivery from his phone right into the system at the load level. It's just a couple things. You know us, we're always thinking what's next, and always building and developing. Hopefully someday we'll stop developing, but for now, we don't see that happening anytime soon. We're always trying to build these tools to help people in our industry be successful, grow their business, move more loads, make more money.
That's what it's all about right there, you guys. Well, as always, that's it for today, you guys. The Freight Coach Morning Show. We are the top morning show in transportation. If you saw value, if you guys saw value, share the show. That's all I can ask at the end of the day, you guys, because if you guys see value in it, your network's going to see value in it as well. We'll be back on Monday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon. And now